Okay, hi everybody. My name is Eric Zimmerman, and I am sorry to miss today. I would have moved it if I could have, but I've been enrolled in a course for my other career, which is in the Army, for over a year, and it's just not something I could miss. But I wanted to send you a video and introduce myself a little bit and tell you a bit about who I am. Um, and I'm going to set a timer so that I don't go over and that you can't make fun of me when I come back in August. Like I said, my name is Eric. I work at Multnomah County. I'm the chief of staff there for one of the districts, which has been an interesting and very rewarding change for me in the last few years. I joined Diane McKeel's staff over there, and it has been what I would consider kind of the next path, or the second chapter, if you will, of my adulting life, and I've really enjoyed it. But I'm a local Oregonian. I grew up in Oregon in Happy Valley. I went to college in Portland at the University of Portland on an Army ROTC scholarship, which for me was really important because it was the only way I could afford that school. And I actually showed up without a scholarship and just kind of bet that they were going to probably give me one based on everything I knew about the program, and all the eggs in the basket worked out, which is a little bit of kind of how I work, I think. So it has been a great career for me, and I'll kind of go into that a bit. But college and being part of Oregon and going to college in Oregon is, I always thought growing up I would probably take off. I think that I never realized quite as much as I liked Portland when I was younger. But one thing about serving in the military, when you see other parts of this country, you realize how damn well we have it here in Oregon. And I certainly am always going to come back, and it's always going to be home for me. And so I'm happy to call Portland my home still. After leaving college and becoming an officer in the military, that was a very defining point for me in my life. I was in the Army at a time when tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people were deploying to the Middle East every single year, and this was a very volatile time in our country for a very tiny percentage of us. It was, less than 1% of our country has been to the Middle East for what was going on over the last 15 years, and I'm one of that 1%. And I had the privilege of being a platoon leader overseas, of working with men and women in some pretty terrible situations, and that is what I had spent all of my college career preparing for, though. It's what I'd spent all of my officer training preparing for, and it's something that I hold very close to who I am and kind of how I identify, right? I learned a long time ago that I am most comfortable helping other people succeed, and that is a lesson that I learned. I don't know how I learned it. I'm not sure. I just know that it's a role I have found myself often in, which is a big part of why I chose to serve in the Army, and maybe not the other branches of the military, is that the Army is very people focused. We're not a technical group. We accomplish things through a lot of people, and so that kind of stuck with me, and it's a career I still have today as a National Guard person, as a commander of folks on the Guard side, and it's something I plan to do for a long time. But I want to transition that, and kind of the reason, what the change, that second chapter I've talked about is I think a lot of the lessons learned that I had in the military and in working with young people and some older people, I've tried to bring now into my service locally at the county. And I certainly have a different approach than a lot of people I work with. It is at times rough, and at times has caused friction, but it's also, when I think people talk about me, they talk about just that I do business a little bit differently, and I'm happy about that. I'm much more, I guess, oriented toward results, but also I like watching people grow. I like watching people grow into their position, into whatever that it is that they're doing in life and being successful. And I get to do that at the county. I get to do it in a funny and kind of different way. It's a lot of through policy and money, which is different for me, but I'm getting there, and I'm comfortable doing it now. But I think that when you are given the privilege of a voice that that is not afraid to speak up. And I think a lot of us have opinions inside, and a lot of us can talk to friends about certain things, or we may have really strong beliefs. But one thing I have never had the luxury of is staying quiet on issues, and that was the same in my career in uniform, and that's been the same in my career in public service in the civilian world. And I think it's important that that I keep doing that, right? I served in a time when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was a reality for me and many of my friends who I served with. I currently serve at a time when we're figuring out how to integrate women into jobs that were always dominated or prohibited to women, but are dominated by men, and now transgender issues within the military. And those are areas that I've led on that I am not exactly sure what the path always is, but I do know when I see something that's not right, and I know that I was given the voice to speak up, and I've got the credibility with the powers to be to speak up, and I think that's important. So I bring that to the county, and I bring that to what I'm trying to do today, and I think that's important. We are in a very volatile time right now, and this has been a very tough month for me this past June and early July. And so I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody. I'm sorry again I can't be there, but I hope that this gives you a little bit of a glimpse of who I am and some of the things that I'm about and what I'm hoping to continue to do. And I hope that in our relationship going forward that you guys can help me be better at that, and that I can learn from all of you. So looking forward to meeting you, and see you soon.